guys, it's Paula from PSA and Creations. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're returning. Today's video is a flip through of a sewing themed junk journal that I made. This journal measures 8.5 by 5.5. It is a single signature journal that has been sewn in using the cover. I used a hardback book that I picked up somewhere, maybe the Dollar Tree, maybe somewhere else. I took vintage sewing pattern packet and I backed the packet onto a manila folder just to give it some stability. And the front of the journal is the front of the packet, as you can see here. And then the back of the journal is the back of the packet. Journal cover, sorry. I don't know if I can really see the year anymore. I did put some lace on the, this is vintage lace that I put on the spine. The closure is removable. It's just a coffee dyed or tea dyed seam binding. And yeah, let's get started. So the journal itself has a total of 68 pages, roughly, front and back. Like I said, it is one signature only, but I had tons of fun making it. So the inside, I have fabric, vintage fabric on the spine. And I did not do anything other than add a little pocket to the front inside cover. And then the back inside cover, all I did was just add a little bit of washi tape measure, like measuring tape, a sewing tape. And it's just washi tape. And there is just, I want to point out, a charm of a sewing machine on a bullpen hanging from one of the vintage lace trims that are on one of the pages. So let's go ahead and get started with this flip through. This is a vintage flashcard that I just collaged on one side. What's the word I'm looking for? My goodness, I always forget this word for some reason. Altered. I altered it. So really cute. This front page, let me tell you guys, so this is scrapbook paper, but it's very thin scrapbook paper. I made it into a page. But let me tell you, this front page, I just recently changed it because what I had on here, I just didn't like how it looked. And it just kept bothering me and bothering me and bothering me. So I finally just changed it. I added some vintage German, a page from a vintage German book. And then I added this little piece of ephemera. Always remember, you are unique. And what's more unique than how we dress, I think, sometimes. I did leave a lot of the thread just hanging on the book. So if you don't like that, feel free to cut it off. So this is made into a pocket. And I just added a little piece of vintage ledger right here. A little stamp that I fussy cut, dressmaker. And then in the pocket, we have a reproduction page from a fashion magazine or a lifestyle magazine. And that's backed on some manila folder and sewn all the way around. And then this is just a little coin envelope that has sewing notions stamped all around. And on the inside is just a number of sewing notions that are stamped on coffee dyed or avocado dyed paper that you can fussy cut and maybe use on other parts of this journal. And there's a few additional stickers, washi stickers as well in here. Coffee dyed paper, some stamped notion down here, lined paper that's been dyed. This is a vintage 1930s dictionary page, and I just decoupaged beautiful napkin on it. They're napkin pieces. I didn't do the whole napkin. I fussy cut the napkin, the flower out with the butterfly, and I just fussy cut it on there. I just decoupaged it on there. And then just a little stamp of a paperclip. On the other side of the dictionary page, I just added sewing pattern from this particular I think it's from this one. Let me not lie. It's just sewing pattern tissue paper. This is avocado dyed paper, and then there's a little pin cushion stamp down here, and this is a paperclip dress. Vintage wallpaper from 2002. That's vintage, right? Yeah. 22 years. Wow, 23 years almost. Vintage ledger, unused, obviously, page 113. It was one of those tall vintage ledgers. Little sewing notion stamp right here. Here's my first pocket that I like to do with my junk mailers. I just added a little bit of collage paper there. I stamped the thread spools and then a little bit of washi tape right here. And I just liked how this one actually turned out. It's just a washi sticker of a young lady, and it says fun and journey. And then there's a bunch of paper clips. Not paper clips. What are they called? Pins. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. If you remember what these are called, let me know. I lost it. Safety pins. Safety pins. Again, I do like to recycle food containers, so some of my journaling cards or tags, you'll see that the backing is brown and some will be white. And this is sitting on a vintage music sheet. This one is from, yeah, I have no idea because, you know, I don't do the, I have no idea what the Roman numbers are, but that's the year of this music sheet. All right. Copy dyed paper. Again, I did try to stamp on almost every page that was blank, but there's lots of writing room on this, as most of my journals have. A coffee filter. This is dyed paper, but I don't know if it's, I think it's avocado dyed. It's a very light color. Lined paper that's been, I believe this was food coloring dyed green. This is just a side tuck here. I added this stamp of a beautiful lady in her dress, and then some vintage lace here. There's tulle in the background. I don't know if you can see it or not. And it's just a side tuck, and I just altered slightly to index cards. So a little stamp right there of a sewing notion, and then a sticker of a lady, and then a little bit of tissue paper from the sewing pattern, and the same here, but I did them in opposite directions. And this one has, so these index cards have been coffee or tea dyed as well. Oh, I just noticed this is coming up a little bit, so why not fix it in real time, guys? Because if somebody chooses to purchase this, I would rather not forget and miss that. Now this is sewn on, and a reason why I did that as well is because I did add vintage lace on this side here, so I thought, well, let's sew it on. This is a 1960s dictionary page, and this again is another flower from a napkin that I just decoupaged on the page. Another coffee dyed page. This is another music sheet, vintage music sheet, and again, just another little collage of a beautiful flower with a butterfly. I don't know if you can really see, but I think it's so beautiful. And here's just a cardstock. And what I did is I actually glued the, so I punched out the corners, and then I glued the little button onto the little paper clip. And so it's all one piece, so it doesn't come apart. And it just goes right here. And it's just an extra little writing spot for you. Avocado dyed. In the middle of the signature, we have a page using the tissue from the sewing pattern. It is sewn all the way around the edges that were not closed off. So the top doesn't have a sewn. So you can't see the signature because I did do the method of the tails being on the outside versus the inside. This is just a little fabric swap. It's actually felt that I then added glued on a vintage fabric piece. It's the same piece that we used on the spine on the inside. And then I just added some beautiful pearl, and then this one has like a full little crystal diamond top pins, sewing pins, and that's on a ball pin with a little eyelet right here. So it's like a needle book, but it's really just a needle needle swab. I thought that was cute. All right, and then so now we're just going to the next side, which is a duplication of the first side. So avocado dyed paper, music sheet. This one again, I have no idea the year, but it is there in the Roman numerals. Here's another one of my pockets, but this is a up tuck versus a side tuck. And this one is another food container. Covered it in vintage, covered it in vintage book page, and then covered that with the sewing pattern, did a little bit of stamping, and then added a washi tape lady. And on this over here, I added some of that same washi tape sewing measuring tape that we have in the back, and just a stamp of the scissors, vintage scissors sewing notion. Measuring tape stamp. This is just a little cluster. I added just a button. This is not a vintage button, but I added a button, and then I just added a few pieces of the tissue paper, and I did stamp the little pins there as well on it. And there's a stamp right here too that's part of the Sewing Notion little kit thing that I have. Stamps. This is a very messy ruffle, but I thought it was cool looking. I thought it added a little bit of accent to the page. So it's just glued, right? So it's just a ruffle that I glued on. I think you could probably tuck some stuff in there if you wanted to. Let's check it out. Yeah, you definitely can. So you can tuck some stuff in there as long as it's not like big, because it's actually a small little spot that you can tuck in. Maybe we'll just leave that in there. It's a little tag that you can add some stuff to. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. I think it goes well. More lined dyed paper. Coffee dyed paper, a coffee filter, a very dark coffee dyed paper. I think this is tea dyed actually, because for some reason I am able to get better color with tea dyed than with coffee dyed. Maybe that's just the norm. Here's another vintage music sheet, and again another beautiful napkin flower that I decoupaged. A little bit of sewing here as I sewed in the vintage trim lace that's on the other side. So here's the vintage trim lace, and as I showed earlier, here is our little sewing machine charm. Here's the other side of the vintage ledger page and the wallpaper. Avocado dyed paper. This is the 1930s dictionary page. Again, we did the sewing pattern on one side, and on the other side of this one, I just added a little bit of that measuring tape, washi tape. Lined dyed paper, coffee dyed paper, again with the little stamps on the corners. And then the last page is the last page, right? Yeah, okay. Was the thinner cardstock that we had, and that we made into a pocket. This was the top of the pattern. No, I lied. This is the top of another pattern, because this is Butterick, and this is Simplicity. So, but I thought it just went well there, so I just added that there. So it was 60 cents, and then in Canada it was 70 cents, whatever that pattern was. And then I just stamped a vintage sewing machine image right there. And on this one, it's again a reproduction of a fashion magazine page. Sorry. So I backed the back of it. This is a manila folder, and I back the back of it with some tissue paper from the pattern, or from a pattern, and then I sewed around. And then this again is just a heavier cardstock. I punched the corners, added a little bit of a punch stamp from one of the Sewing Notion stamps that I have, and then I added a button, and that is it. Let me, again, plenty of room for you to do additional things to this. And again, this is just a closure of the seam binding. I think this one is like beautiful, like, oh, spring is coming. These beautiful blues and pinks and greens on these dresses that these beautiful ladies have. I think that's what it screams to me. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, this book itself will be available on my website, www.psencreations.com. I will also post it on my Whatnot Marketplace in case you're interested in getting it from there. So that link will be in the description box below. That will take you directly to it. And if you're new to Whatnot, I will have a link as well, that if you sign up, which is completely free, you will get either a $10 or $15 credit to use however or wherever you would like within Whatnot. And once you use yours, I will get a $5 credit myself to use on Whatnot. So anyways, thanks so much. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys on my next video. Bye.